Air traffic controllers nationwide will miss their first full paycheck starting tomorrow. We're already seeing major delays at airports across the country this weekend due to air traffic controller shortages. In fact, the shortage hit the highest level since the government shutdown began on October 1st. Understaffed facilities helping to lead to more than 4,000 flight delays nationwide. CNN's Pete Montine joins us now. Pete, you've been warning about the shortage issue for years, really now, but this is different. Tell us what you're learning.
Well, the government shutdown makes the shortage only worse because it creates an outsized impact. If a controller calls out sick, remember they're working without pay, then that can have a ripple effect across the air traffic control system, and the margins are already so small. Here is the latest from the FAA. They just put out a new operations plan for today, and they say there could be shortages of staff at the Newark Approach Control Facility, also at the Approach Control Facility in Atlanta. So we could see delays pile up. This weekend was a real doozy when it came to delays, the worst for staffing problems we have seen since the start of the government shutdown, and air traffic controllers began working without pay. Over the weekend, about 50 air traffic control facilities were short-staffed. Remember, there are only about 300 FAA towers, approach controls, and centers nationwide. So it all boils down to 1 in every 6 of those facilities without enough staff. And that means some serious problems for those traveling by air. Perhaps the worst problems were yesterday, Sunday, at LAX. Los Angeles International Airport was under a ground stop due to staffing problems there. Lasted about an hour and 45 minutes. But that led to the ripple effect at the 5th largest airport in the U.S. About a quarter of all flights in and out of LAX delayed on Sunday. Saturday wasn't a cakewalk either, and the FAA has a term for this. They call it staffing triggers. And I just want to show you what the list looked like on Saturday night. This was the longest list of facilities with short staff we have seen since the government shutdown began on October 1st. We're talking about 24 facilities there. So add that on top of the 264 staffing triggers we have seen since the start of the shutdown. And our analysis shows that is more than 4 times larger than the same period a year ago. So this is not normal. The latest data from FlightAware shows Sunday as the worst days for FlightAware. These were the worst days for flight delays since the shutdown began. You know, I've said it before. This is likely only going to get worse before it gets better. Controllers, as you mentioned, Sarah, they get their first $0 paycheck tomorrow. They got the pay stubs in their emails last week. So far, the FAA has not listed any staffing problems beyond the ones that I told you about at the top of the hit, Newark and Atlanta, although we'll see things can change really quickly when it comes to these staffing shortages.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge impact, but we should mention that the air traffic controllers were part of the key to reopening the government. That pressure on the economy and on Congress when people cannot get to where they need to go for business or pleasure is a big deal. Pete Montine, thank you so much. Great reporting for us this morning. Kate?
All right, thanks so much. Let's talk more about this. Joining us now is Dan McCabe. He's the Southern Regional Vice President for the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. Thanks for being here. When it comes down to it, the question becomes, is the system getting less safe as this shutdown drags on? What do you say, Dan?
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Kate. I appreciate the opportunity. I don't believe the system is less safe. There are safeguards in place. There were safeguards in place before the shutdown ever started. That's why you do see, and I look outside on days like today in Atlanta where there's low ceilings and it's rain, your flights are delayed. When the capacity is lowered because of some outside influence, weather, construction, staffing, we do have to downshift the airplanes to be able to keep that margin of safety. And we don't allow that margin of safety to shift at all.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what this means and what air traffic controllers are going through. You have the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, saying yesterday that as of tomorrow, it's going to be the first missed paycheck for controllers nationwide. Here's his take on it. Let me play this for you.
If I don't feel like I have enough controllers or enough controllers that are focused, we will slow down traffic. We will stop traffic. And that's why you see the delays in the system.
That's why you see the delays in the system. What does, when you add into now controllers seeing zero coming in on their paycheck, what does that add into this?
Well, listen, this job is stressful on a perfect day with a full complement of staffing. You got 9 hours of sleep. You feel it's the greatest day of your life. It's still stressful. It's still a demanding job on your body, on your mind. But when you bring in outside, what I would call adult stress, financial stress, worrying about your kids, you're adding in a crippling amount of stress on top of stress that you're going to find at work. You'll find plenty of stress when you walk in the door. But, like they said, tomorrow's the day, is the first zero paycheck. That introduces a whole new litany of issues. Putting gas in your car, making sure your kids are taken care of, making sure that you can eat. And the thing is you don't know what somebody's situation is until you walk a mile in their shoes. Short of us doing some sort of predictive analysis, the thing we have to really look at right now is where's the breaking point? We have a very young workforce. This is a workforce that may not be financially set up yet. And like I said, everyone has a story. Some people may be spread thin. Some people may have some savings. We don't know that. But what we have to look at now, where is the breaking point for each individual? And that stress is absolutely unnecessary on top of what they're already doing.
Yeah, the unnecessary nature of the additional stress is really what's the kick in the pants. There's also, when you talk about the workforce, Duffy also mentioned how training for new air traffic controllers he fears is going to be impacted. You've got the training academy in Oklahoma. He said instructors are not being paid right now, but the students get a stipend while they train up to be a controller. That stipend runs out, he says, in a little over a week. So the secretary says that they're going to lose new controllers because of this shutdown, because they're going to leave the system because they're young, they won't be able to make ends meet. Is that what you see happening?
Well, look, I mean, that's a fact. We have begun to supercharge the hiring of air traffic controllers. Now, hiring an air traffic controller does not make an air traffic controller. You hire someone to train to be an air traffic controller, and then after years of specialized training, they're fully certified. Now, you look at what's going on in the world right now and you say, hey, this is a job I may want to do, I may want to pursue, but wait, they're not getting paid. But wait, they've not been paid before. Will that change some minds? It might. When you have people that are brand new into their facilities and they say, welcome to my new job, I'm suddenly not getting paid. I'm suddenly worried about making rent, paying for my car, feeding myself. I go to work so I can have pizza. I mean, these are issues, right? And like I said, the workforce is young.
Dan, thanks for coming in. This is not ending today, but it should end today. But that just means the trouble is going to continue. I really appreciate you coming in. Thanks so much.